Hello guys, and welcome to lesson 9 of my PHP tutorial. And in this video and some further videos we will talk about operators. There are 5 types of operators in PHP, and in each video I will explain each operator type and how you can work with these operators. And as you know guys, I am explaining these operators in detail, and if you saw as everything else about PHP, I'm explaining in detail, so you know everything, so you understand everything, and if you have any questions, just leave them below the video. Okay, and let's go. And in this particular video we will start and have a look at comparison operators. And as they sound, or as they say, comparison operators allow us to compare one value to another or something to something. And we have a look what comparison operators are there. And on purpose, in previous video I created if-else statement, so we can actually start writing some code and we can use these operators in our code in PHP code. So let's write let's create variable. We already know how to create variable, and I will call this variable number1. Okay, and I will give this variable, let's say, value of 5. And we will create another variable, and I will call this other variable number2, and I will give it a value of number 10. So we have two variables where we store in first one number 5, and in number 2 variable we store value 10. Okay, and now let's write if statement. And as you remember, to write if statement we just start with if, and then we open close these brackets, and then we open close curly brackets, and in curly brackets that is actually code which gets executed whenever that whatever is returned from these simple brackets. If that returns true, then this code in these curly brackets get executed. So let's have a look, and now let's compare values by using PHP comparison operators. Okay, and first comparing would be two equal signs. This is first comparison operator in PHP. Those are two equal signs, and as you remember, by using one equal sign we are not comparing, but we are actually assigning value. As you see here, we created variable 1 which we called number1, and we assigned or added into it this value 5. The same we did with number 2, and we added into it number 10. But with two equal signs we are actually comparing, and we are comparing one value to another. So we're comparing what is on the left hand side of these two equal signs to that what is on the right hand side to these equal signs. And let's copy, and now on the right hand side we will put this number 2 variable. So what we are pretty much doing here is number 1 is 5, is it equal to number 2 to 10? And as I mentioned before, and I am now still going in detail, but I won't be doing it in further tutorials. I just want you to start understanding, and now we start putting this all together, what we have learned: variables, if statements, and these comparison operators or assignment operators. That's why I'm explaining these in detail, like everything else in my videos, so you understand PHP inside out after watching these video series. Okay, so we are comparing number 1 to number 2 variable. So, and as you know, in if statement, if this all whatever is in these brackets, if it returns true, this means that these whatever code we will write here in between these curly bracket opening and curly bracket closing, whatever will be here like code, it will be executed. But in if statement, if whatever this will return false, then this code will not be executed. Sorry guys, I wrote K with K, it should be code. Okay, but whatever. And let's echo out something on the screen, like for example, it is true. Let's echo string value, and let's say some text, this is true. Okay, this means that if this will be true, then on the screen we will have this is true echoed out. Oops, sorry guys, I'm writing very true like this. Okay, so now you understand that this won't return true, because number 1 is not the same as number 2, because 5 is not the same as number 2, and this will return false. So if we go now, let's say preview, if we go now and preview it in browser, we refresh, we see that nothing gets displayed on the screen. So let's go back, and now let's say we would compare number 1 to, let's say, number 1 again, okay, number 1 to number 1. And this means that this is, because number 5 is the same as 5, okay, number 1 is the same as number 1. So in this case we will get this this is true displayed on the screen, because if this and if statement returns true, then whatever is in these curly brackets is executed on the screen, guys. And this is first comparison operator, and it is comparing one value to another value, okay. And then there is 3 equal signs, and you might ask, why would we use 3 equal signs in comparing? And in comparison operators, these 3 equal signs, so I will create here one PHP comment, and actually PHP comment one line is 2 forward slashes, and I will show you this is one comparison operator, okay. And now we will have a look at second one, which is 3 equal signs. And you might ask, why would we use 3 equal signs if we already compared something to something and we use 2 equal signs? So the answer is very simple. If with 2 equal signs we just comparing values, that means 5 and 10, those are values in this variable, whether they are the same or they are not the same. But if we use 3 equal signs to compare something, one value to another, then we compare values, and then we compare data types as well. And we had a look at data types in previous videos. If you don't know what is data types, have a look at previous videos, and you know such data types like simplest, like strings or integers, okay. And now, for example, if we compare number 1 to number 2, this in if statement will return true if this will be true, okay. So we are comparing if 5 is the same as 5. First we were comparing if number 5, because if value 5, no, it doesn't really care about data type, it cares about value. If value 5 in number 1 is the same as in number 1 value 5, and it is the same, okay. And then it will check if number 1 value 5 is of the same data type. Is it number? Because here it is number. If it is number, and if it is, it will return true and will echo this on the screen, this if statement. But if this will be string for some reason, but I will show you this in the second, then it will return false, because values will be the same, but data types won't be the same. Data types will be string 1. Okay, let's have a look at this first. Let's save this. Let's go to browser. We see this is true because values are the same. But now, for example, number 2 variable I will change as well to 5, but I will put this 5 as string value. So to create strings we use single or double quotation marks. And now we will compare number 1 to number 2 variable, okay. And what do you think? What we will get? We will not get this displayed on the screen, because now number 1 is not the same as number 2, because at first we are seeing that value 5 is the same as 5, but when it gets to validating data type, this is number. Is number the same as string? Because number 2 is string. And you will see if we save now, we go back, we will refresh, and nothing will. And now we're comparing if this is a number and if this is a string, because this is second type, and we will see that now nothing will be echoed on the screen, because this is 5 and this value is 5 and this value is 5, and this is integer and this is string, so it is not the same, so this will return false. If we save it, go back to our browser, refresh now, we see nothing gets displayed on the screen. But however, if we use two equal signs, it doesn't care about data type, whether it is a string or whether it's an integer. It doesn't care. It cares only about values, whether first value is the same as second value. So in number 1 we have integer of 5, but it doesn't care whether it's integer or string. It cares only if it's 5 is the same as number 2 value, which is 5 as well. It is string, but it doesn't care whether it's, because it's not comparing data types. So 3, and if we save now, we go back to browser, refresh, we see this is true is displayed on the screen, because in this case, if we use only two equal signs, we are comparing only values. Note guys, we are comparing only values. But if we use 3 equal signs, we are comparing as values, 5 so as whether they have the same data type. So if this is 5, if this is integer and this is string, if we will make this, let's say, string as well, for example, then it will be okay, because now they have values 5 and they both are string. Okay, let's save it, let's go back, refresh, and you see this is true is displayed. And even if they would be numbers both, if we remove these quotation marks around these 5s, it will be true as well, because they now are values are 5 and they both are integer. Okay, because they both are numbers now, the same data type. Refresh and you see this is true. One comparison. And third one is not equal to, and this, to write not equal to, we use one exclamation mark before this equal sign, and pretty much what it does, it turns around logic. And we will say, like, if we had number 1, okay, is the same as number 2. As you see, it is the same as number 2 with two equal signs. Okay, and this is true if we refresh. But not equal to, what it does, it turns around logic. If we use exclamation mark, it will turn around logic. It would say if it is not the same as number 2. 5 is not the same as 5, so it will return false. If we save it, we go back, we refresh, and we see that nothing gets displayed because this returns now false. Okay, so pretty much two equal signs, and this is turning simply around logic. You will understand this when at first this might be a bit confusing, but you will understand when we start working with code, and you will see when we start using this. And the same you can write with two equal signs. And as you understand, with two equal signs we are comparing not only data types, not only values stored, but as well stored data types. We are not comparing only values, but we are comparing also data types, which are on both sides of this comparison operator, and it as well turns around logic. Then there is simple comparison operator, which you know from school. It is greater than. Okay, and greater than is this triangle bracket, which is open to the left side, and this compares whether number 1 is greater than number 2, and it is not greater than, because they are equal. If we save this now, we go back to browser, we see that nothing gets displayed on the screen. But if we put number 1 to be 6, for example, it is now greater than second number, and it will display this is true on the screen. So next one is greater than, and the same is with less than. And this is just to turn around this comparison operator. And all the time it's comparing the one operator which is on the left hand side. So it's comparing whether this is less than this. Okay, always comparison starts on the left hand side. So now what we are saying here, whether 6 is less than 5. So 6 is not less than 5, so this if statement will return false. and nothing will get executed. If we save it, we refresh our browser, we see nothing gets executed. But if we will say number 1 4, then number 1 is less than, it like sounds like whether 4 is less than 5, okay, and it is, and so if this will return true, and this means that echoed on the screen we will put this is true. Let's just save this, let's go back, refresh, and you see this is true is displayed on the screen. Then we have greater than and equal to, another comparison operator, and this checks whether like greater than and equal to. If we just with this, for example, let's make these equal, and we are saying whether number 1 is greater than number 2, so whether 5 is greater than 5, so it's not greater because they are equal, okay. So let's save it, we see that it returns false because number 1 is not greater than number 2 variable value, so 5 is not greater. But if we put equal to, then it will not only, at first it will check whether this is greater than this, and this is not like that, okay, and then it will check whether they are equal, whether number 1 is the same as number 2. And this is kind of comparing two things. It compares, first it looks at whether this is greater and than this, and then it if it's not, it checks whether this is equal to this, and they are equal, and in that case it will return true, and this will be this is true is echoed on the screen. If we save it, we go back to our browser, refresh, and this is true is displayed on the screen. And the same applies to this less than or equal to, and this is just we need to turn around this operator. It's pretty much the same logic, it's less than or equal to. So these are comparison operators in PHP, which you can use in PHP. For this one, not equal to, for this one, I mean, not equal to, which we used, there is the same operator which you can write like this, okay, like this, opening this curly bracket, not curly bracket but triangle bracket, and closing triangle bracket, and this operator is the same as this operator, and as you know, this operator turns around logic of equal to operator. So play around with these and try to understand them, just try to understand them and play a little bit around with these, and then in next video I will show you mathematical operators in PHP. And this is important. You might think that this is not important and these are just some operators, but this is important because all programming pretty much is based on all these operators and all these if statements and all these basics what we are going through now, and I find them very important, and that's why I explain them in such a detail. Okay guys, so play a bit around with these. If you have any questions, leave them below this video, and if you found this video useful, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and see you in next video.